Deontay Wilder's power is for real, as if we didn't need, and this as if we didn't know that already. He moved to 36-0 with 35 knockouts on Saturday night from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn with a Titanic, and I do mean Titanic. I'm talking about Leonardo DiCaprio Titanic right hand that knocked out Artur Szpilka in the main event of the Showtime card that I thought was actually pretty decent, despite what some people were saying online. But yeah, I mean, he did his job. But before I get totally into that, we're going to go ahead and talk about the heavyweight championship fight that happened right before Wilder. In the first fight of the night, Prince Charles Martin became the second American heavyweight champion, American world heavyweight champion, when he defeated Vyacheslav Glazkov by TKO. It was a very odd ending to the fight. Glazkov looked to hurt his knee earlier in the round. I believe it was the third round, and he got up, but I could tell as soon as he went down by the grimace on his face that he had hurt something because he hadn't got hit by a punch. So he gets up and he walks around the ring for a while. So I'm like, you could tell that something was wrong with him, but he couldn't get himself together. So then they tried to engage again. He seemed like he was okay for a second. And then he landed a body shot, and they really zoomed in on his knee, and it twisted. So I don't know. I'm not a doctor, obviously, and I haven't seen any type of diagnosis on the things or anything like that. But he looked like he might very well have torn his ACL, which obviously I hope that's not the case, because that's obviously nasty. That's a long recovery type of situation for him. But yeah, it was kind of bad luck. But in a sense, though, this is a guy that I have seen win at least 2 fights, or escape the loss in 2 fights that he absolutely did not win. Malik Scott was one. Steve Cunningham was another. You can even make the argument that he didn't beat Thomas Adamick either. So every once in a while, breaks don't go your way. De La Hoya was one. There's a situation that comes to my mind. I remember when he fought Felix Sturm, and Sturm actually deserved to win that fight. Got robbed because De La Hoya had a fight coming up with Hopkins. Well, if you look at De La Hoya's situation, De La Hoya had very close fights with Felix Trinidad, Shane Mosley, Floyd Mayweather Jr., where he did not get the decision. So ends up going both ways in guys' careers if you fight long enough. And this particular night, it didn't go Glazkov's way. So that's how the first championship fight went. And all of a sudden now we got a new IBF heavyweight champion in Charles Martin. Something tells me that guys that are thirsty for a piece of the heavyweight title are going to be knocking each other down trying to get in line to fight Charles Martin. We'll see what happens. In the main event, like I promised, Wilder hits really hard. After a competitive 9+ rounds, man, the WBC World Heavyweight Champion, he just obliterated Artur Szpilka, dropping him to 20-2. And it was a right hand from hell. It was just crazy. Nasty counter right hand. The punch landed flush on Szpilka's chin, and he flopped to the canvas. Just, you knew he was out before he hit the ground. It was that kind of punch. It was actually kind of scary because he laid down literally like with eyes closed for a good while before he was able to respond at all. Similar to the way Manny Pacquiao looked after Juan Manuel Marquez knocked him out, only Szpilka didn't fall face first. He, his legs kind of buckled under him, Mirko Cro Cop style, and it was nasty. It was pretty nasty. He actually got taken out on a stretcher. I believe that was just done for precautionary reasons, because he was fully responsive by that time, and from his body language, it didn't look as if he wanted to be taken out on that. I think he was kind of a little bit embarrassed by it, but it was a nasty shot. His trainer, Ronnie Shields, did tell Showtime's Jim Gray that his fighter was good and that it was just for precautions. Before he got knocked out, though, Szpilka made a great account of himself. He had good head movement, and his southpaw stance seemed to give Wilder some problems. At the point of the stoppage, I thought it was still a winnable fight. I believe I had it 77-75, and now Wilder was winning the 9th round. A knockout came in the 9th round. He was winning the round, but it was still a winnable fight. I felt for both guys. It wasn't by any means out of reach. Szpilka might have slowed down a little bit in the second half of the bout. He got careless, and Wilder made him pay big time. Early in the fight, though, Wilder looked tentative and really wild with his punches, almost like he had regressed a bit, because early in his career he was wild a lot, but he had kind of calmed that down in recent fights. But early in this fight, it looked like it was kind of like an unrefined version of Wilder, and I think it was the southpaw stance. He was trying to kind of struggling to find his range. He was standing so far away from Szpilka that it was hard for him to connect with the jab consistently. And if you watch Wilder over his last 4 or 5 fights, you'll see that his jab has become just as important to his success, or almost as important as that powerful right hand. But in about the 4th round, Wilder seemed to find his groove. He was more comfortable and loose, and the jab started to find his range, and it was starting to connect, and it was becoming the range-finding punch that he needs it to be. He started to fly Szpilka's head back with 1-2 combinations. One in particular comes to my mind. But to Szpilka's credit, he took the shots well, and we're talking about Deontay Wilder. So some people may have started to question, like, hey, does Wilder really punch that hard, or was he just fighting bums? Because guys were going the distance with him lately, and Szpilka was taking the shots. He had eaten a few of those up until the point in the 9th round when he was knocked flat. And I think any questions about how hard he punched how hard his Wilder punch was probably done away with when we saw that big right hand land and knock Szpilka out. But after the fight, the action wasn't over. Current WBA and WBO heavyweight champion Tyson Fury came in the ring and engaged the champ in a nose-to-nose verbal exchange. It was kind of wild. It was like out of a movie type of thing. Wilder, Fury was calling him a bum or whatever, dancing around the ring, and Wilder was. A lot of times you see guys, fake it and all that, fake anger, but Wilder was clearly miffed by Fury being that close to him in the ring. Basically getting loud with him. A lot of cats, when we don't like him, you start trying to get loud. And Fury was definitely doing that. And Wilder, I think, was still a little bit concerned because it was such a nasty knockout. But to the champion, to Wilder's credit, he quickly flipped the switch and was able to go back and forth with Fury. He told him it was just an act. You're not a real fighter. This is not the WWE. And he told him, he said, hey, man, you dancing around here like you a preacher. I'm going to tell you, when I step in the ring with you, I'm going to baptize you. This is what he told him. And Fury's, basically anytime, any place, I'll fight you in your own backyard. You're a bum, the whole nine, right? So that whole exchange was great for boxing. That's the type of thing that boxing needs. Now, everybody's going to watch that, and people are going to say, oh, I hate Tyson Fury. Some people are going to say whatever they're going to say about Wilder, but the thing of it is after you see something like that, literally minutes after Wilder knocks a guy out, it only makes you want to see Wilder Fury just that much more. Now, sure, Fury's antics are childish and annoying for his foes, but he's the first heavyweight who has made you want to see him in the ring, winning or losing, in a long while. He's must-see TV, and for any of the American fans who hadn't really or don't really know who he is, this was an appropriate introduction. Now, a unification bout between him and Wilder is potentially a pay-per-view extravaganza. Their little exchange on Saturday night only made that potential bout more interesting. Now, but the thing of it is, we can't get too excited about thinking that's going to be like the next fight between those two, because both him and Fury, Wilder and Fury, have other commitments that are probably, almost certainly, going to prevent them from getting in the ring with each other in their next fights. Alexander Povetkin is Wilder's WBC mandatory challenger, and he's already stepped aside once, I believe. And Vladimir Klitschko, who was obviously the former heavyweight kingpin that Tyson Fury dethroned in October, has already exercised his right to a rematch this year against Fury. Now, it might be possible to convince Povetkin to step aside again to allow Wilder to face Fury, but that probably is not going to happen with Klitschko. The fight fans who are actually like eager to see Wilder and Fury in the ring can only hope that both Wilder and Fury win their next fights. A bout between the two of them in the third or fourth quarter of the year might end up being the most anticipated fight of 2016. The heavyweight division is back, y'all, and I hope y'all enjoying it. I appreciate you watching. God bless. Peace.